Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I'm Stu Whiffin. Joining me always, Blake Harrison. Good morning.
Morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm all right. I mean, we're saying this like we've just started chatting. This is our second attempt to start this one. We've been having a few little glitches, so if we get any more, bear with us. We're not in the studio today because both Blake and I have been a bit flat out with work recently, and so we're having to do this one old school over Zoom. But how was you've been back and forth to Belgium? How's that been, mate?
I've been back and forth to Belgium. Who knew we'd have more technical difficulties just being at home than in that studio?
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. This should be way simpler. But yes, I've been back and forth from Belgium, which has been lovely. I was in the city of Namur,
Nice.
which was a lovely little place, lovely little town. And and last night I got back late Friday night, and last night was poker night with some of my old mates from drama school that was kind of booked in ages ago, which is why I could go, because it was like, I can't just be in Belgium for a week with work, come back and say to the kids, hey, see you later, I'm off for the evening. But because it was booked in ages ago, I was like, well, what can I do? I can't let everyone down now. But it was May the 4th, so it was Star Wars themed, and I was dressed as Boba Fett. And did not go well for me. It was terrible. Bad cards all night long. But the one saving grace was that my brother went as Princess Leia in the gold bikini, so that was hilarious. We all loved it, and that was about it.
I mean, I've met your brother recently, and a handsome man. He looks like he's in good shape. I don't think I'd ever like to see him ruining something that's so important in my youth. My childhood, I think, would be smashed to bits if I see Dane dressed in a gold bikini.
All tattooed up as well, just tattoos everywhere, chest, arms, everything. He's all tattooed up, but it was Princess Leia in a gold bikini. It was brilliant. It was hilarious. But yeah, see, I don't have the connection with it like you do. It wasn't necessarily my formative years in which I watched that moment. I was on to other things. But yeah, for you, I imagine it would ruin a very, very cherished memory seeing him in
100%,
that gold bikini.
100%.
But you've been busy.
Saying that I have. It's bank holiday weekend, so it's always a crazy one. 3 nights I've got to work, so it's too much for this 51-year-old fella. But I've had a calm morning this morning, so I imagine we've both watched. This is obviously UFC post 301. We both have watched it this morning. We're recording this at lunchtime on the May the 5th. So did you watch it this morning?
Yes, I did. I watched like a couple of little prelims last night, but saved the bulk of it for this morning. And because I was out late, I got in at like 2 a.m. last night. And because I was out late, I woke up that little bit later to watch it. And therefore, like, the house was full. Yeah, there was kids and conversations happening that I had to be a part of. Yeah. Went on pause a few times. So I don't feel like I've really had the full experience. But having said that, at least that happened at UFC 301 rather than like 300 or 299 or whatever. But I mean, shall we just dive straight into the main event?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I want to touch on something before we actually talk about the fight. Now, was it me, but maybe apart from the Jose Aldo fight, did it look half empty in there?
I don't know about half empty, but it wasn't like, I thought there was something wrong with the sound on my TV because I had to turn it up really loud to hear the post-fight speeches but also I was like, this crowd doesn't sound very loud.
Yeah.
Like I was half expecting the crowd to just be like going nuts all the time and it'd be really buzzing, like, you know, when we've seen those French cards and the London cards post-pandemic and all those kind. I was just expecting like a real buzzy atmosphere.
Well, you presume that Rio brings the party, right?
Yeah, it didn't come through the TV at all. It didn't seem like it was like really rocking in there or anything.
I'm not sure Pantosia's got that star quality that they look for, and I don't. You know, it may come with time, but I think to follow Jose Aldo, I think that's, you know, rightfully so. He's the champ. and I think the performance, I can't help but think right at the very end when they said make some noise for Steve Herzeg, I got the impression that he got a bit more of a roar than what Pantoja did, and I think. Well, let's talk about the fight itself. Did you think Pantoja won it?
I thought it was pretty close. I was really confused about the corners.
Yeah, that's the main thing, wasn't it?
After the third round, Pantoja's corner were like, you're 3-0 up. And Herzeg's corner were like, you're 3-0 down. I was like, what are that like? Because I gave Pantoja round 1, but I gave Herzeg round 2. And round 3, well, I gave round 3 to Pantoja, but I was really torn because I felt like the elbow did obviously like massive cut, loads of damage. But I still feel like, remember, you can't judge it by like cuts and blood. It's like impactful strikes. And I feel like that elbow did cut him, but I felt like Pantoja maybe landed a few strikes that rocked Herzeg's head back a few times and stuff like that. So it's I think sometimes we say damage, and actually a better word for it is more like impactful. Yeah. Because just because someone's bleeding doesn't mean that strike scores more points than something that really rocked someone or whatever. Not that Herzeg was rocked, but I just felt that there was accumulation of enough bigger strikes. But again, I was watching it with a full house of people walking around and chatting and stuff. So I was quite torn on that round. If you gave it to Herzeg, I had no real problem.
I did, yeah.
I lent Pantoja. But then I gave Herzeg round 4. Mm-hmm. And then round 5 for me was the decider. And Herzeg, that takedown, man, was...
I think that cost him the fight.
I think that cost him the fight. Well, I think it definitely did, because from what I've heard on the judges' scorecard, one scored it 49-46, which, whatever. I don't necessarily agree with that, but fine. But 2 of them scored it 48-47 for Pantoja. And they both gave the 5th round to Pantoja. So if that had flipped, if Herzeg doesn't take him down and get reversed, and he stays on the feet and wins that round, Herzeg's the new champ by split decision. Or majority, split decision, wouldn't it be? So,
look, I think it was. I just found myself just willing Herzeg to just keep putting the strikes. His hands are phenomenal. I think his boxing's absolutely fantastic. And when Pantoja was coming, them elbows were just great. And I think at times I thought Pantoja looked very tired. I mean, he does look like that a lot when he fights anyway, but. I just the corner thing really confused me. When he said you're 3 down, I thought, are they just trying to kind of make him work these last 2 rounds? I don't know, because I thought he was 2 up at the end of round 3. So it was a strange thing. But look, I don't think Pantoja. I don't think his stock went up last night. I don't think he done anything to make the world go, oh my God, he's incredible. He's a really exciting champ. Steve Herzeg, who's been in the UFC for a year, now I think he's has legitimised himself as like, look, this guy's, easily could be the champ. And, if you give him another couple of fights, I don't know where he'll be in the rankings now after that. I think he was 10th going in, so I don't know.
I even on a loss, I would lift him in the rankings.
Yeah.
I would raise his rank even on the loss, because I thought it was a very, very close fight. I felt like he did phenomenally well. One factor that I think a lot of people were saying going into this fight was, what's Steve Herzeg going to be like off his back? Because we haven't seen that much. And Pantoja's such a good grappler, and that's where I think Pantoja ultimately won the fight. It was a very weird choice, and DC mentioned the inexperience for Herzeg to keep chasing those takedowns, because it felt from early on that you were like, okay, Pantoja is the better grappler. But I think Herzeg was better on the feet. So why he kept chasing the takedowns, I don't understand it. I felt like I felt like the corner, again, should the corner have done more? Could they have been like, look, clearly, you're not getting completely dominated down there. It's not like the Royval fight where I felt like Royval had no real answers. He was trying, he was getting back to his feet at times and all that stuff, but he was never winning the grappling exchanges, Herzeg. He was always defensive and then getting out of it. He was never being able to dominate himself. And so I think if you're his corner, you're like, stop instigating takedowns. Stop it. Just keep it on the feet. And yeah, again, would a more experienced corner have helped him? Because obviously Steve Erceg's is inexperienced. He's only been in UFC for less than a year. And his corner obviously done phenomenal things with him over the time they've been with him to get him to where he is now. I'm not saying that he needs a new corner or anything like that. But for me, I was just like, he's fighting at a gym in Australia, in Perth, that Steve is the best fighter they've ever had, as far as I'm aware. And so when these cornermen are there looking at rounds and fighting against the champion for the first ever time, are they maybe giving too much respect to the champion? Are they expecting that they need to do more than they actually do? Because to say he was 3-0 down after that third round, I thought was bad cornering. And yeah, I just think even if you're not sure, just like, look, we could have it could be 2-1 to him, it could be 2-1 to you. We're not sure. Let's just keep like whatever it is. But to say unequivocally, which is what I felt like I heard, you're 3-0 down. That to me was not good cornering at all.
Yeah.
So, and did that affect the way Steve approached things later on? I'm not sure, but I just wonder, with maybe this experience for the whole team, not just Steve, but the entire team going forward will be really valuable, because they can rewatch it and go, why did we think we were 3-0 down? Where is it that we felt like we were failing when actually we were being successful? Are they giving too much credibility to takedowns and clinch ground control time and stuff like that, when we know that it's the damage that scores or the impactful strikes that score? So, yeah, maybe it's a good thing for all of them. But Steve Erceg's 28 years old. I think his stock rose. I would rank him higher than 10th. I'd put him above a bunch of other people. And I think he could be champion one day. 28 years old. He's big for the weight class. He's got very good boxing. He's wrestling, again, against arguably the best grappler in the division. It'd be interesting to see what Mohamed Mokaev versus Pantoja would be like in grappling exchanges. But, you know, he did well. He wasn't completely dominated. He was able to get out of it at times and put together his boxing and those elbows that we talked about and stuff. So, I don't know. I think I would like to see more from Steve Erceg. I'd like to see him have a tiny break and then get back in there in maybe 5 months' time or something like that against a decent ranked guy, someone in the top 5 maybe.
Absolutely. The King walked into Rio last night.
Should we talk about Pantoja and what's next for him before we get on to the King of Rio, or are you're just a bit nonplussed?
I didn't feel like I got anything from that last night. I love Pantoja. I think he's a really nice dude, and but I just didn't feel that there was anything last night to get excited about from him. And
I think that's a little bit harsh.
I think
if Steve Erceg was the number 1 ranked guy and that fight happened, people would be going, but Pantoja had that champion spirit. He was cut open. He kept going. But I think because Steve Erceg was 10th and he is so inexperienced, I think people are taken away from Pantoja. But I think historically that win will look better over time, because I think we'll see Steve cement himself as a really top fighter.
Yeah, I guess so. That's fair enough.
So we'll say it sort of begrudgingly. But what is next for him? Because as we've mentioned before, this whole situation came about because there was no one for him to fight. So he fought the 10th ranked guy. I mean, he's beat Royval, he's beat Moreno, I believe he's beat Alex Perez, but I'm not 100% sure. Manel Cat, we've mentioned, is not making the weight. Nicolao's just had a loss. Tim Elliott lost a little while ago. So you've got Amir Albazi, who was injured. He needs another win before he gets a title shot, I think. And then you've got Mohamed Mokaev, because Kai Kara France, I believe, has been injured a bit recently. So Mohamed Mokaev. So they're talking about Mohamed Mokaev fighting in Manchester. I'd hope it's Brandon Royval, because that just means Mohamed Mokaev is fighting the number one ranked guy. And that is, means that he'll get the next shot if he wins. And that makes a lot of sense. It's just whether Royval wants to fight him in Manchester. But then Amir Albazi is around as well. Do you do Amir Albazi versus Mokaev? Winner gets the title shot? I'm not sure, but I'm not interested in seeing Pantoja fight Moreno or Royval anytime soon. So I want some fresh blood in there. It's got to be Mokaev or maybe Albazi, I think. And
we know how Do you know how bad Kai France's injuries are?
I don't know. I know he's been injured for a while though, but I'm not sure.
But yeah, I mean, Mikhaev. I mean, I think it's safe to say that if he is on the Manchester card, then there's no belt coming his way for that fight. Yeah, but like you say, if he beats Royval, that'd be a great fight, and if he beats him, then yeah, he's in line. He's got to be. You know, how would you imagine Pantoja Mikhaev to be an exciting fight?
Yeah, potentially. I think Pantoja's a really exciting champion. Actually, I think the Royval fight, he saw a real clear path to victory with taking him down. But the Moreno fight was brilliant. Pantoja has finished a lot of guys in the division as well. And
he's got a chin on him. He's definitely got a chin on him.
And he does come forward. It's just, I think that cut really affected him because you could see as soon as that cut happened and they're in the middle of the fight against the fence, he was holding his hand to his head like, oh, no, I'm cut or whatever it was, or trying to stop the flow of blood into his eye, something.
Usyk gave me shots that I think would have put a lot of other fighters down.
So yeah, and Pantoja does come forward, and I think Pantoja's grappling versus Mikhaev's wrestling could be really interesting. Yeah. And I think on the feet, Mikhaev will really have to step it up on the feet because I think Pantoja will put it on him, and I think it might draw the best out of Mikhaev. So I think actually we could get a good fight out of that. So yeah, I actually like Pantoja champion. Pantoja is going to take a break. I think he said that in the post-fight press conference that he wants to take a break. So, yeah, I think there's time for the division to sort itself out. Either do Amir Albazi versus Mikhaev, ideally in Manchester, and the winner of that gets the next shot, or you do Mikhaev, Royval, and Albazi versus either a Moreno or a Kai Kara France if he can come back from it. Oh, no, but Albazi Kai Kara France already happened, didn't it? And it was quite controversial.
Yeah, that was.
Scored it for France. So you could maybe remake that fight. I don't think Albazi would be happy with that. But if you say to him, look, you win this, you're going to get a title shot, then maybe he would. But I don't know. Interesting stuff. Manel Cap looked exciting, but again, struggles with the weight, so I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, I think Mikhaev versus Albazi maybe, or Brandon Royval, someone like that, in Manchester is a good step forward for the division. And maybe from kind of, I don't know, October onwards, November, whatever, we'll see Pantoja defend the belt before the end of the year again. And it'll be against maybe one of those guys.
Can we now please talk about Jose Aldo?
Yes, yeah.
The fact he just rocked him with that crown on his head, I was like, yes. Mate. Like,
I wanted him to do more with that. Give him like a big cape and a scepter as well.
Yeah.
Carry him down on a throne. Just like, come on, UFC, be fun. Yeah, I can imagine it now. Aldo's like, look, it's my last fight, maybe. I'm back in Rio. Let me do something big. Give me the crown. Give me the scepter. Give me the cape or give me a throne. Something. Let's make this special. Let's do something. And then, the Venom's PR official just went, oh, sorry, Jose, but we want to make sure we can see all the logos clearly. And if you're bobbing around on a throne with a cape over you, maybe we won't be able to see it. Sorry. Oh, Crypto have said the same thing. They don't want you covering up their logos with anything fun. So yeah, that's what I imagined happened there. So yeah, they could have been more fun. Have more fun with it. But at least he got the crown, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, look, did Martinez give him too much respect?
Yeah, for sure. But then, I mean, this Jose Aldo. So, and again, as we said in the preview show, this is a Jose Aldo that was on a 3-fight win streak before he fought Merab at altitude, and he still did fine in that fight. He just didn't win it. And Merab could be the best bantamweight on the planet at the moment. And again, fought him at altitude. Merab, the cardio king. And then he went and boxed, I think, 3 fights. And
I think that was really interesting to see his fight style last night. Because I thought you could tell he'd been boxing. Because he was some of the slips and the feints he was doing with his head, like I was like, oh, I'm not sure I've seen Aldo do that much before, and it suited him. And I think some of them body shots he was throwing were absolutely fantastic. And I just I wasn't sure. When I see him get in there, I thought, oh, he looks really old. And but I think that's just fight years more than anything taking its toll. I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked crisp as hell. I couldn't. That did not look like somebody that had walked away from UFC. And I think he thankfully started checking them leg kicks because they were nasty in that opening round. But yeah, I thought he just looked very comfortable. Didn't look rusty in the slightest, and I was just really impressed with his boxing. And I thought I don't know. I thought Martinez looked like he was just sort of running out of ideas, and he looked a little bit. I don't want to sort of discredit him too much, and say sort of rabbit in headlights. More just like Jose Aldo in front of me, and in his back garden, so. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a good matchup for Jose to fight in his hometown. After a hiatus from the UFC, and I thought he'd done a fantastic job. I thought he looked great.
Yeah, I thought Jose looked good again. Like the wins he had prior to the Merab fight: Rob Font, Pedro Munoz, Marlon Vera. I mean, all good fighters, all highly ranked fighters.
Always one fight away from a title shot. He was one fight away from 100%.
So again, really good fighter even at the age he's at now. Martinez was on a 6-fight win streak that Aldo's just broken. And again, against decent guys, not highly ranked guys, but good fighters. And so I suppose it's what's next for Jose Aldo. Before we get on to what's next, what I loved and what I loved Jose even more is after the fight, you could so tell that Martinez was furious with himself.
I thought he was crying at one point.
I think he was. I think he was really upset with his own performance, and I think he was like crying. He was so upset. And Jose was just trying to go over to him and be like, "No, mate, please don't do it. Like, it's fine." Like he was just being so nice to him.
Well, you say that. We couldn't hear what he was saying. Maybe he was like, "Why are you crying, man? There's cameras on you. Sort yourself out, man." She's really embarrassing.
You don't embarrass yourself. No, I loved it. I loved it.
Beautiful.
It was. That's just so classy and just that he knows what people put into this sport because he's put it into this sport. So he knows to boost himself up, he's had to take away from someone else, and he's trying to console him at the end of the fight. And I think at one point he was hoisted onto his corner's shoulder, and he was trying to push him off to begin with.
Get back down,
to help him out and not put it in his face too much. But obviously, like, the corner's a lot bigger than Jose, so he just lifted him up.
But he should also have his moment. He should have that. He should be lifted aloft in his hometown, because if that was the last time we see him, which I don't think it will be, they were saying that that was his last, rumoured to be his last fight on his contract.
That was the last fight on the contract, yeah. So what do you do? Like, does he? I mean, that was the biggest fight of the night. The audience, the crowd, they were way more into that fight than any other, it seemed. I think the UFC should get him back. I think they should sign him up to another deal and get him back. But Jose now being a free agent, the PFL could pay him an absolute fortune. Karate Combat, Bare Knuckle could pay him an absolute fortune. Boxing, anything. There's so many avenues that he could potentially go down now and earn an absolute fortune. Are the UFC willing to get the checkbook out and pay good money for Jose to stay? That's what I'm not sure. I hope they are, because I want to see him. I'd love to see him fight Sean O'Malley. I know we can't have that next necessarily because it's not quite right for the division. There's Sandhagen and Merab and all these things out there. But I don't want to see him matched up with like Umar Nurmagomedov or anything like that. But I would love to see him fight like we said it previously, like a Henry Cejudo. I would love to see that. I do want to see the Cruz fight, but I don't want to see it yet, because I think the Cruz fight is always there. If Jose wants to have a genuine run at the belt, he doesn't need to waste time with Cruz. I think he can skyrocket into the top 5 with, let's have a little look who's in the top 5. Merab, obviously, he should be fighting Sean O'Malley next. Sandhagen, he's got a case to fight Sean O'Malley, but he might have to fight someone else beforehand, and it looks like maybe it would be Umar Nurmagomedov, but I don't really want it to be Umar. Petiyan, Jose lost to already, so maybe that doesn't make sense. Vera, he beat already. Henry Cejudo is 5th. Davison Figueiredo's there as well. That could be a really interesting fight. But I would love to see, but I would love to see Jose Aldo fight. Maybe Corey Sandhagen makes sense, actually. If you're Corey Sandhagen, you'd rather fight Jose than Umar Nurmagomedov.
Fucking right.
But the fight I think makes a lot of sense is Jose versus Henry Cejudo. I think, they're both kind of legends of the sport. I think they were meant to fight each other at one point and it got cancelled. So it makes a lot of sense, this fight. So Henry Cejudo versus Jose Aldo. And if Jose loses, then he can fight Dominic Cruz and then just retire again or whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
Because I want to see that fight as well. But I think avoid Cruz for now. Don't care about Cruz so much right now. Fight Cejudo. And if he wins, you could probably leapfrog people and get to the belt. And I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Sean O'Malley versus Jose Aldo. And I think Sean O'Malley would much rather fight Jose Aldo than a Corey Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov or Dvalishvili.
Absolutely. Shall we discuss Anthony Smith versus Petrino?
Yeah, good on Anthony Smith. That was not expected, I think, for a lot of people.
Well, we spoke, didn't we, that is Smith becoming the Magni of that division? Is he getting sort of put up against all the killers that are starting to make their name? And that was very much the case last night. He was. Petrino, had been looking devastating. Experience paid off, I think, and I think obviously Smith's been in the trenches enough, and he as good as said that in the post fight. He said there's levels to it, and he come a swinging, and he just got that guillotine in, and it was like, I mean, I think he tapped twice, didn't he? I think the first time they met, the ref missed the tap, and then got it second time, but I think that. I don't know what that does for the division. Not a great deal, I don't think. Anthony Smith, for me, I'm not. No. I don't think, the title's ever going to come his way. I thought it was a fun fight, but I think I'd like to have seen Petrino win that fight and continue. But obviously, as you say, there's gatekeepers to the higher rankings, and he fell at that hurdle. Yeah, well. As a lot of people see gatekeeper as like a disrespectful term. I think why not? Yeah. Anthony Smith is ranked 10th in the world. He's the 10th best. Obviously, there's other organisations like the PFL and Bellator combined now, one championship, whatever. But to a lot of people, the UFC is the UFC, and anything outside of that doesn't matter so much. So to most people, Anthony Smith could turn around and go, I am the 10th best fighter on the planet Earth in my weight class. That sounds pretty good. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's 8 billion people on the planet. That's not bad, is it? So, I think that being a gatekeeper, like a Neil Magny type of something, nothing wrong with that. And he proved, as I say, there are levels. There's experience levels. There's skill levels. He got in with the leg kicks. It's the leg kicks that done him. He only landed 2 or 3 of them. And you can see Petrino visibly really uncomfortable. And I think he panicked again, inexperienced maybe. Sort of lunged forward into a takedown and left his neck there. And Anthony Smith was just like, thank you very much. I'll take that. No problem. Absolutely. Like I said, I don't think that does a great deal to the division as such. Maybe just slows down Petrino's ascent up here. I mean, we always expect him to bring fireworks, Mr. Pereira. And oh my God! I mean, what kind of fight? Well, I know what kind of fighter is Pereira. Like when there's someone on their back that they've essentially just dropped. What do? Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll turn around, I'll set myself, and I'll throw a backflip onto him. It's not the first time he's done it. No. He's done it multiple times. The man's crazy. I love him. I love him so much. What I think is important is that because there was discussion and it looked like it. I mean, the announcement was delayed, wasn't it? Because it all went to the court. Because in theory, he need a grounded opponent, right?
Well, it depends on.
Have you got some gossip on this?
No, I've got no gossip at all. I just, from looking at it on replays, the more at first I was like, oh, that's an illegal strike. You've just kneed him to the head or shinned him to the head via this backflip. That if this goes DQ, then I understand it.
Yeah.
However, the more of the replays I watched, maybe they were just trying to show a certain angle as much as possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it felt like it went there, like kind of like on the neck. So it missed the head, in which case it's technically legal.
Yeah.
Because he hit shoulder, the neck, whatever, that's legal. So as long as it didn't hit the head.
I'm glad it didn't, because
maybe it didn't.
What a fantastic
away with it.
Way to start the finish to your fight. And no, I say that standing guillotine, lovely.
Yeah, and also, did you see the fact that Potieria tapped out but still went to sleep?
Yeah, that was quite weird, that, wasn't it? He kind of got off and then off he went.
It just, but that's it. Like I think John Anik said in the commentary, the last 3 fights Pereira has had, he's finished them all within 66 seconds or something like that. You're like, this guy's, I was saying it on the preview show, give him a ranked opponent.
Yeah.
I know Potieria stepped in on short notice, but it was Muradov beforehand. I don't care about that. Give him, I haven't even got I need to get the rankings up in front of me, but this guy needs a proper challenge. He is dismantling people. He was doing it at welterweight as well. Like, this guy really needs to fight someone proper now. I mean, Nasruddin Imavov is ranked 8th. Oh, Pereira, I think, does that no problem. Yeah, he needs to fight a ranked guy. He needs to. Give him, someone else called out Jared Cannonier, but give him Jared Cannonier. Give him Nasruddin Imavov. Like, someone in the, I think, top 10. Don't even care about the top 15. Give him top 10. Like, I want to, I've had enough now of him just dismantling people that have just, as I say, within the first round. I want to see a proper test. And I feel like he's earned it and has deserved it for a long time. Absolutely. He's so exciting to watch. He's not just winning, he's doing it in such exciting fashion. Yeah, he's one of, it might even be my favourite fighter at the moment. Any time he's on the card, that card is so much better to me just from his name being on the card. So yeah, I really, really want to see him fight a top-ranked guy. Give him, as I say, Nasruddin Imavov, I don't know if he's got a fight booked or not, but he's ranked 8th at the moment. Give him to him. I mean, that makes loads of sense to me.
Absolutely. Bad night in the office for Paul Craig.
Bad night in the office for the Brits, really, wasn't it? But yeah.
You know what? You lent on this in the pre-show, that there's always that kind of, and we say this with respect because Paul's been a supporter of the show and has been on multiple times, and he's a lovely guy, but it just feels that there is that unease when they're standing in front and they're he's got someone in front of him and they're striking. It feels sometimes that his chin's a little high, and we know that Paul is, when it comes to the jiu-jitsu and that, he's one of the best, but he's got to get them there, and it always feels that getting them there is the bit where you think, oh God, you've just took another shot there. Like, and that was exactly what was happening last night, wasn't he? He's got a chin, Paul Craig, because he had a lot of shots before it got stopped, and you could see what he was trying to do. And I don't know. Do you think that the game plan to fight Paul Craig now is the blueprint's there?
That's sort of what I was saying in the preview show. I think people know what his game is now. If you don't engage with him on the ground, then there's too much of a gap on the feet, and you'll be all right. That's the way it seems to me. The commentary were talking about a lack of head movement. Wasn't even really throwing his hands much, just the kicks. It seems to be something that we've also mentioned on this show, that these jiu-jitsu guys, whether it be like a Damian Maia, a Mackenzie Dern, Paul Craig, Ryan Hall, if it's on the ground, they are lethal. But getting it to the ground is really hard for them. They've not got the wrestling acumen that like a lot of other grapplers might have. Like Gilbert Burns seems to be the best at being able to actually implement wrestling to get you to the ground, and then his jiu-jitsu is world class. But a lot of these other
well, we haven't got that wrestling pedigree in the UK, have we? That so many other countries have.
No, but as even the Brazilians and stuff, I don't know, they don't have the wrestling as much. But like maybe Paul Craig is that bit older, so it's maybe harder for him. But I don't think there's much excuse for people anymore that are. Again, I'm not necessarily including Paul Craig in this, but like I look at Mackenzie Dern, and she is improving with her wrestling and her striking as well. But she's been working with Jason Perillo for a long time. She's been in America for a long time. She should be wrestling constantly to the point where, and maybe I'm doing her a disservice. I obviously don't know how long it takes to gain this skill set and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like if you're Mackenzie Dern or someone like that, a young wizard when it comes to jiu-jitsu, Ryan Hall, all those guys, you should be working on your wrestling so much, because if you can just get it to the floor, you will win. You will win. And that is the problem with a lot of these jiu-jitsu guys. They struggle to get it to the ground. And Hall's extra thing is he's got durability, and I was worried about his durability down at 185, dehydrated himself, and whether he'd be able to take the shot. And obviously he has suffered another knockout, but he ate that knee at one point. His kind of durability held up for longer than maybe I thought it would down at this weight class. But yeah,
I wonder if there's value to, I don't know. Like, I don't know if Paul ever kind of sort of goes and trains at other camps, anywhere else in the world. I don't know if it's of benefit to do that. I don't know. But
well, as I say, maybe he's got a family. Again, he's like 36 now or something like that. I don't know what he's going to do and how it's all going to go for him. But yeah, I mean, he's someone that I was about to say maybe something like the PFL would work well for Paul.
Yeah.
But, because he could do the season at light heavyweight where he's been most of his career. He won't have a problem with the weight cuts and all that stuff. Fight people, at his kind of size, like what he's trying to do. But again, if he fights anyone that can keep it on the feet, it feels like there's a lot of holes there that people can exploit. And that's what I worry for Paul. Every time he steps in the octagon, that first exchange where he's trying to get it to the ground, if he's successful, I'm like, oh, here we go. It's going to be all right. But when he's not, I go, oh, this could be a tough night. And lo and behold, it was. I mean, in terms of Carl Borralho, he's 6-0 now in the UFC, I believe. Called out Jared Cannonier, which is a good call out. I don't know where. I think Borralho is ranked maybe 9th or something like that at the moment. I have to just kind of have a look here. Carl Borralho is ranked 14th, actually, and he will take Paul Craig's spot at 13th, and he's called out Cannonier, who is 4th. So, yeah, I guess that is a big jump, but it works. But then I was just out here saying that Pereira, who's technically unranked, should be shot straight in there. But he's been doing so well, Pereira, and he's been doing it in such style as well. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe Cannonier would accept that fight. Cannonier has been very much forgotten at the top of the middleweight division lately. We were talking about Brendan Allens and Robert Whittaker and Hamzat Chimaev fighting each other. Strickland's fighting Paulo Costa coming up. It looks like Dricus will probably fight Adesanya once they can get that deal done and dusted. So, yeah, I don't know. Carl Borralho shooting his shot for Jared Cannonier is ranked 4th, which maybe that's not a bad call-out.
Absolutely. Like you say, it wasn't a good night for the Brits and Jack Shaw. Had his first KO loss by leg kicks. I mean, look, I didn't want to see Jack stopped. Jack didn't want that fight stopped. He looked really, really pissed at that. Always a consummate professional, though. Jack, just one of the real good guys in the UFC. But I mean, it looked brutal, didn't it? His leg. I'll be interested. I mean, he was walking around after the fight, and whether that was just a bit of pride there, just thinking, suck this up and let's just walk around like there's nothing wrong. I don't imagine that leg looks very nice this morning.
No, but I didn't like the stoppage.
No, I didn't.
Don't get me wrong. Jack was losing the fight.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like he had much of a way back. It was just sort of, I guess, if they come out with that third round, is Brito tired? But he didn't look tired. It looked like Jack was going to get beat. But I saw Richard Shaw put up on his Instagram or something about, I said he should continue. Jack wanted to continue. The doctor said it's not just a cut. His leg's fractured, so we're stopping the fight. They then go to the hospital. There is no fracture, couple of stitches, and they're out. So I think that they've got every right to be pissed off with that. Now, had they been winning the fight and something like that happened, I would be appealing it all day long, all that kind of stuff. That would be horrible. But because the fight was going the way it was, it's not maybe quite as bad. But I still don't think that's a precedent I like set. It was a lot of blood.
Yeah.
But I think we've seen people with leg injuries like far worse carrying on. Like people that are like can barely stand on their foot. They're switching their stance all the time. They're barely standing. They're hopping around and all that.
Yeah.
And like that, Jonathan Martinez leg kick KO of Adrian Yanez. For ages, he couldn't stand on that leg properly, and the ref didn't just stop it. He stopped it when he finally went down from a last leg kick and was holding his leg and writhing around in pain. Jack Shaw wasn't doing that. Like, I think he had every right to continue in that fight. It was just a bit gruesome to look at.
Yeah.
But it's not getting in his eyes. It's not preventing him from seeing and defending himself properly.
Wasn't affecting his movement as such.
It probably was a bit, but it wasn't like it. Yeah, but it wasn't like a cut, like a Nate Diaz cut right over there. He's a busted eye. I didn't like it. I thought it was a bad stoppage.
Mm. Look, he's got a good team around him, Jack Shaw, and you got your dad in the corner who's an absolute ledge. I'm sure he'll come back. Obviously it's a shame that he's been out with with injury and he come back and to have to lose a fight like that, it's gonna hurt a bit. But he's made a strong stuff, and I look forward to seeing what Jack comes back as.
Yep. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it went a bit funny then, and I'm quickly looking at something else. Yasmin Lucindo, I thought looked pretty good against Karolina Kowalkiewicz.
Mm-hmm.
She's only 22 years old. Kowalkiewicz is 38, so she's on the way out, but she's done all right lately, I think. Yasmin Lucindo, what's her win streak now? But she's coming into the strawweight division, which I think maybe needs some help with contenders and stuff like that. But she is now on a 3-fight win streak, Yasmin Lucindo. I think it's looking quite good. So I think she could be someone to look out for in future. And unless there's something else you want to talk about, I've got maybe one guy.
Well, I never saw the fight past prelims, and I heard that there was something quite exciting. I see Dana saying, it was a very exciting fight. And so is that the fight that you're going to lean on?
Yes, Maurizio Ruffi looked great in his UFC debut against Jamie Mullarkey. And again, not just any old mug. He's not fighting the Dana White Contender Series guy. Jamie Mullarkey is all right. He's not the best fighter in the world. I don't think he's ranked or anything like that. But he's solid, Jamie Mullarkey. He's got UFC experience now, and he's a decent enough fighter. And Maurizio Ruffi just came in and annihilated him in style in one round. Dean Thomas was saying he looked a bit like a young Conor McGregor, and I can sort of see where he's coming from. It is high praise. Maybe it's easy to say, but the way his stance was, the way he switched stances and threw like some spinning heel kicks, stuff like that. Again, we're talking about the McGregor in the featherweight days, not McGregor now. He did sort of have an element of that style about him. He was accurate with his punches. He threw a couple of really quick, good kicks. But one thing he did that I've never seen McGregor able to do, he did this beautiful, like, scissor sweep takedown where he just kind of went towards him, stuck one leg behind him, one in front, left the ground, and then took him down. I mean, it didn't actually lead to much. It was just flashy, but the audience loved it. I loved it. It was just, this guy is a bit of a showman. And then he put together some strikes straight after that Mullarkey, maybe the fight should have been stopped slightly earlier than it was. But yeah, this guy, is someone that I'm looking at now going, oh, this could be one to watch. Maurizio Ruffi, if you haven't seen it, maybe you've seen it on Instagram because I think people were putting it up. He won a fight night bonus. I would go and watch that fight if you can. It's less than one round. There's some exciting moments in there, and I'm really interested to see how they use this guy now. If he's somehow going to be higher up the pecking order, he's not going to be fight past prelims for a while. He's going to be on main cards or something like that because he looked very exciting.
And while we're talking about Mauricio's, we should talk about Shogun Rua, who got inducted into the Hall of Fame last night. And what an absolute legend. If you've got a bit of time on your hands today, just go back and watch the Hendo fight if you just ever need to, just remind yourself how exciting and fantastic a fighter he and Hendo were. Lovely to see that happen in Brazil as well.
Yep, it was great.
Absolutely. Right, well, look, we'll be back next time. We've got some fun ideas for some shows coming your way very soon. Hopefully, we'll be back in the studio. We've got a big announcement next week. We've got a new sponsor joining alongside Ferocious Fightwear. We'll tell you all about that next week. We'll have a nice little discount code for you as well, so you can get some goodies. But other than that, I think all that's left for us to say is... please subscribe if you want to buy us a coffee. The links are in the show notes. Give us a follow on the socials. And other than that, bye-bye.
Laters.